We can't do that one no more, boy. We about to get hit. We about to get hit with copyright. Oh Lord, we can't do that one no more. How y'all doing? Oh Jesus, got hit with that real quick the last time. I didn't realize that he sampled so hard. All right, man. How y'all doing today, bro? How y'all doing?
I'm doing well.
Okay, he dabbed on
Okay.
the cold. Okay, all right.
Nah, just a sneeze.
He dabbed on it. Just dabbed on it. All right, man.
Sniffle.
I'm gonna have to change our introduction because of the fact that if this podcast worked between me and Jamel, man, I would love to translate this over to ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages.
Well, before we even get rolling, I'm gonna be doing most of the driving on that other podcast, which we can talk about later.
Yeah.
We'll come up with something different. So
I don't mind that. Oh yeah, man, I don't mind it.
I'm so happy y'all have a place to talk about wrestling and not involve me.
Oh man, you are part of the game, dog. No matter what, bro, you are a part of the game. You got all right, dog. Here's my thing. Go ahead.
You ain't never invited me over to play the new WWE game.
Oh, they got another one coming out in March, dog. They got another one coming out in March, like 17th or 14th, something like that. So there's a new one, man. Knowing Xbox, y'all probably gonna get it for free in like a week.
You get the old one for free, yeah.
Yeah, you probably get the old one. But yeah, man, there's nothing to really like kind of go off of. I will say this. I will recommend this. If you got Hulu and you got stars for Hulu or you got whatever stars, whatever like that, I recommend the show Heels. I swear to God, I stand by that show and I support that damn show. You should watch the show Heels. It's a really, really great show, man. It stars CW's Arrowverse, Stephen Amell, and they got a couple of other good people inside of the actual show, but it's heavy. I would argue that it's actually about the actual Rhodes family, because it's about a family in Georgia who actually had to start their own wrestling promotion and hold on to the wrestling promotion in that actual city, which is like the city of Duffy. But yeah, I would recommend that. But Heels, it's a really good show. It's HEELS. If you don't know about what wrestling is, Heels just means bad guy. But everybody, thank you very much for joining us and welcome to the Historical Voices from the East Side. This podcast is a podcast where we come together and we have a couple of guys who are a part of the council of talking about what's pop culture and what is interesting in modern day media. We also do film reviews and talk about how those films actually relate to our pop culture today. With that, I am not as important as these guys here who are actually part of this council. I'm going to go to my person right here on my right side. This guy over here, his name is Jamel Watson. Give him a big round of applause, everybody. Come on. That is our movie reviewer. Now, the next person right there, he's below us right here. We usually have a moment of time while we do we try to bring this shit together and try to make sense of the actual, the craziness of the world, man. Let's give a big shout out to our voice of reason, JT, the voice. So, welcome everybody. Welcome. Now, we are celebrating Black History Month. We kind of strayed away from I said what I said for this month, but I think that because of the fact that the movie that we're going to be reviewing later, I think and the theme of it, we got to implement the actual I said what I said on this one. So with that, man, Jamel, man, how you doing today, baby?
Doing well. Week is almost over, thank God. 3-day weekend coming up, thank God.
Okay.
Going to a wrestling show next Wednesday, AEW Dynamite.
Okay.
I'm nervous because the shows the last couple of weeks have been a little spotty, but yeah, doing pretty well.
Awesome sauce, man. What about you, JT? How you been doing, King?
Man, been doing all right. Saw Ant-Man and the Wasp today.
That was he stopped at that.
You paused like we get
really left it at that.
Okay, wait. We're all not seeing it. We will talk about and give like our group review next week, within the next week, because I plan on seeing it Monday. But JT, 5 words describing Ant-Man and the Wasp and Quantumania in your view.
I could have done without.
God damn. Ooh, this is next week is gonna be fun. Next week is gonna be fun.
I'm not gonna see it. Damn.
No, look. Let me be clear. Let me be clear on this, okay? Kang is the most interesting part of the film. Okay.
Well, I figured.
That's good. That's a good thing because Jonathan Majors is that dude. So, I'm just gonna hop on the J Squad team and but like the rest of the movie, like fuck Ant-Man, man. All right. So I'm gonna tell you one thing. One thing about the movie that's not a spoiler, it's a critique. Because we saw this most primarily with Dr. Fate over on Black Adam. These people really got a problem with helmets, y'all. Like they don't know if they should be on or off. They take them off all the time. But like there was a scene where Ant-Man was like, there was a friggin' like something blew up and it was all dusty and stuff. And he's sitting here, can't see nothing, mask all off and everything. I'm over here looking at my girl like he's in a goddamn war zone. And you mean to tell me that he's not going to put his mask up? You got a helmet for protection, and you sitting out here coughing. You stupid, man. So like it really bothered me. It really bothered me that Disney has not taken and put on Marvel what they did with Darth Vader. You know what I'm saying? Because they really did some Darth Vader was the suit type stuff. And when he took that mug off, he became Anakin again and died as Anakin, right? We don't get none of that treatment with Marvel. So just saying.
I mean, is that Disney or was that more stuff from Lucasfilms years ago?
Well,
strictly the stuff that Disney did with Darth Vader.
In Black Adam, Dr. Fate.
No, I mean like when you talked about Anakin in the suit and everything, is that like recent stuff that they've done with them, or is it more on the classic stuff pre the Disney owned and Lucasfilm?
I mean, I'd argue it was on the classic stuff because Anakin put on the suit, rise Darth Vader. You know what I'm saying? And then he became Darth Vader once he got the suit on. That's why he always goes out with the suit on. He ain't Darth Vader. He got to go get Darthed up. You know what I'm saying? He ain't got no leg. He needs the suit to get around. So, like having him put that on and take it off means he is the suit. But like the problem is I don't feel like we get that with our superheroes. Like, oh, hey, you're Ant-Man. You know what I'm saying? But like you're not wearing the suit. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah. I understand this, Candy. Like, yes, Candy says they do it because they spending millions of dollars.
Oh shit.
So he's about to drop back in. They do it because they spending millions of dollars on these actors, and they got to get their money's worth. That's what.
Here's the thing, though, and I think JT might bring this up. If you will get that good of a goddamn actor, you should be able to do that shit with the helmet on, with the mask on. Look at, for a good example of that, Hugo Weaving in V for Vendetta has the mask on. Entire movie gives a really good performance.
Did I hit the wrong button for the chat? I was trying to read.
I have a fear. JT, I have a fear of a movie that I actually am really looking forward to this year, Blue Beetle. The one thing that I'm hoping is that he keeps the Blue Beetle face on for most of the movie. Because it will just look dumb if he's got the suit on and then it's just his Cobra Cat face.
Well, I think you could get away with. I think you could get away with that more so because
my hopes ain't high.
Well, the only reason why I think they can get away with that is because of the fact that Blue Beetle, his face is more so like that black. You just really got to have face paint and then blue line down on it. So he still naturally has his face. Whereas like the Ant-Man suit, there's nothing moving. There's no mechanisms. I think that's why you look at something like Spider-Man. Spider-Man kind of works because there's some type of figurative movement where it doesn't feel robotic. Like Jamel, you did that in broadcast, man, where they told you like when you read a teleprompter, make sure you do this. Just like Make sure that you blink, because the fact that if you don't blink, you become robotic, and that actually kind of disconnects the person from that. So if we got just a helmet talking, then I think that that's going to make it actually a little bit more tougher. But I will say agree to one of your points, and we don't even have to go that far, because we're going to use that same example that you talked about earlier. Anakin. We all recognize technically Darth Vader as James Earl Jones. I'm gonna ask you a slick question. Who's the actor that played Darth Vader?
David Prowse.
Gotcha. Not too many people will know that. Is he as notable as James Earl Jones?
He should be. He is Darth Vader. He is Darth Vader too.
Yes, but
I'm gonna give you another really good example that's similar to this. It's on the Doom Patrol show. If y'all haven't watched Doom Patrol, highly recommend it. It's two performances, one by the actor who physically portrays Negative Man, and the other is by the actor that physically portrays Robot Man. Brendan Fraser and Matt Bomer, they provide the voices and do some of the physical acting, but those are really good performances. They're expressive without seeing the face, and so it can be done. It's just a lot of, I think it's ego. I put a lot of it on ego of actors. It's just like, you got to see my face. Like, that's why every once in a while, like in some of these Batman movies, they had Batman without the mask. It's just like, oh, put the fucking mask on, stupid. But you know what? We gonna end up getting down the Marvel rabbit hole.
We do this.
I was trying to do that. I was just drawing your attention to it. But when you watch that movie, Jamel, just think of all the times JT would be next to you screaming, "Put your fucking mask on, you jerk!" And
now I'm not gonna be able to unsee it.
It's especially bad with Kang. Like, to me, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand. And we'll talk about it next week. Okay.
History, keep us on focus. We might go on a tangent.
I might just dash myself out, but so I won't hear you too much, and y'all just wave, because I think I'm gonna wait a little bit to see it, man. I
did go see it on a matinee, so I didn't pay full ticket value, and I felt like I stuck him to it a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but hey, how about that Super Bowl, y'all? Did y'all watch the big game?
Yes, we did. Yeah. I enjoyed the game more than an element of it. Okay. It's not just the halftime show, which we're gonna dive into. The commercials this year were kind of whack too. Like, with the exception of the movie trailers, the commercials weren't even fun. It's just like, there are some years where the Super Bowl game is just not very good, but then you got fun commercials, fun halftime show. This year, the game did, weirdly enough, the Super Bowl game was actually good. And the thing that was disappointing in it were the things surrounding it. But if you guys follow me on TikTok or YouTube, I've been doing videos where I've been talking about the Super Bowl halftime show over the years. I've given my thoughts on what I feel are 5 best, the ones that I feel are the worst, people who could have headlined, yada, yada, yada. This year, we got a performance by Miss Robin Fenty. You know her as Rihanna, one of the most commercially successful artists of 2000s, 2010s. Fantastic artist. She is now a billionaire off the back of Fenty. She was the halftime performer, and this, I will give a positive. I thought the Super Smash Brothers staging final level, I thought those were cool. I thought her dancers showed out. But Lord have mercy, Rihanna, look. Pregnant women, Black women, I love y'all. Y'all are beautiful. Y'all are special. Mm-hmm. We are pro. All 3 of us love our Black women. All 3 of us. History got, he helped co-produce 2 children. I love kids. Pregnant women do amazing stuff. Serena Williams won the Australian Open pregnant. Gal Gadot filmed Wonder Woman pregnant. Old girl from Loki did a lot of that shit pregnant. Beyonce performed pregnant. We are not doubting that pregnant women can do amazing things. We are not doubting that our Black women, our sisters, can do amazing things. But Lord
Not
have
at
mercy, Rihanna did not want to be. She wanted to be on Pluto more than she wanted to be doing that fucking halftime show. That was one of the worst, not
Wait, dog.
worst. That was one of the most subdued and boring
God.
performances that I can recollect. 2020s have been banging with the halftime shows. Shakira and J-Lo, the hip hop shit last year, Weekend, they've been fun. Rihanna, she don't want to do music no more. She got that Billy. She got that Billy. She ain't got to do music no more. And I really wish they got somebody else because Jesus Christ, Rihanna seemed like she was bored as hell. She was doing the motions during that. She was just, let me do this, let me do the Fenty shit, and let me get that money. It seemed like she was going through a routine. The show was short. There was no spectacle. There was somebody else put in some points because I've got other stuff. I won't be
the thing that really chaps my gourd is the fact that Rihanna has some of the hottest collaborations with the other biggest artists of the generation. And we didn't see not one of them MFs get on stage with her. Jay-Z produced the show. His ass is up in the box the whole time. How about you bring yourself down here and talk about some Umbrella? Huh? Make yourself useful, Big Lips. Let's go.
No. Wait. 2 songs that she did, dog. She did Run This Town, and you had Umbrella.
Mm-hmm. All of the lights.
Yeah.
Cheap, man.
Well, no, you can't use all of the lights, right? That was Jay. Yeah. So we can't use that. I know they do have a remix version. I do know. Was Power was a remix that Jay-Z did. But All of the Lights was kind yay, and then we had but the songs that Jay-Z could have just popped in on was fucking Umbrella.
He could have done it from the booth upstairs. Come on now. Like, let's be honest. He could have been up there and they could have just got a spotlight on him for just a couple of bars. And no, but he produced that. That means Jay-Z produced a whack show. That's what that means.
Yeah.
This whole thing was a straight sleeper. Like I have heard DJ mixes that have been better than that halftime show.
Dog, I can listen to that on Spotify and enjoy myself a little bit more.
Right.
I'll play some Arkham Knight or Arkham Asylum while I'm listening to a bunch of Rihanna stuff and be like, oh, this is a much better show than what we got. Look, I love Rihanna, but goddamn, she had a bad day at the office. She don't want to do this shit no more. Hey, don't blame her. Congratulations, you could have got somebody else.
Didn't she turn down the halftime show?
I'm afraid what they're gonna do. They're gonna mess around and give us Taylor Swift for one of these years. They're gonna give us Taylor Swift as a punishment because they're like, no, we let y'all niggas have 3 halftime shows. Y'all ruined it. Don't have Taylor Swift on this one. So, yeah,
I don't know. I think it's gonna be like Jason Aldean or like Florida Georgia Line. I would be surprised if it's not one of those two. We went really, really black for like 3 years, or brown for like 3 years. We need to go like a little bit of country because we need to get those conservative people back now. So go ahead.
Like the Super Bowl halftime show, like it's a hard gig to book because you got so many people that you're trying to appeal to. Like football, the Super Bowl, that's the one thing that like a majority of Americans will watch. And so you got to get somebody that, hey, people gonna stick around for. And Rihanna got hits. Like country niggas can dig down to some Rihanna, but she put it was just boring. It was just a boring show. And it ain't the worst. Like, let me be clear. I have stared into the abyss with Super Bowl halftime shows. Everything that came before Michael Jackson in 1993, that shit is straight rat ass. It ain't good enough for the dumpster. It is rat ass. That shit is. Can I interest you in the 1987 halftime show, which is a weird ass fucking bullshit that involved Mickey Rooney? Can I interest you in the year before in 1992 for a Winter Olympics tribute? The NFL got cocky. They were just like, nobody's gonna counter program us. In living color, black men, creatives did that halftime show in 1992, kicked the NFL's ass. That forced them. And then it was just like, no, we're gonna get Michael Jackson. And then they went back to doing the bullshit after. So it ain't the worst. It ain't the worst we've gotten in the last 5 years because Maroon 5 did that shit in 2019, Jesus Christ, I think that's worse because Big Boy from Outkast was brought out there for a little bit, which means we were in the desert, just dying of heat related problems, and we get a swallow of water, and that's Outkast, and then we go right back to dying of thirst. That's what that Maroon 5 show was. The Rihanna show, it was dinner at Arby's. Like, it's edible.
Damn.
It's true. But
it costs way too much for what you got. It left you ultimately a little unsatisfied. It was dinner.
Like, it's Arby's, and like the Jamocha shakes ain't even working, and they out of curly fries. That was basically it. Like, it's edible, but are we gonna remember this?
Well, Blind Toad said In Love and Color, a good show when I had sight. Let's throw that, let's put that in context, because I remember that you did do something about the actual In Living Color aspect of it. And so explain the Living Color debacle real fast, Jamel.
History you skipping. I couldn't hear you.
What were you
saying?
Explain.
Okay, In Living Color.
Yeah.
In Living Color, groundbreaking sketch comedy show that was created by the Wayans brothers, particularly Keenan Ivory Wayans, Damon Wayans were behind the show. They were primarily launching pad of the careers of Jamie Foxx, Jennifer Lopez, one James Carrey. If you young kids don't know about Jim Carrey, look up Jim Carrey in 1994. That dude was a monster that year. Like, that's what In Living Color did. It launched careers, legends in the business. 1992, the Fox network, which was still in its infancy, still a pretty young network, they put on In Living Color. They did a special halftime show. A lot of funny skits were there. Men on Football, very funny show, and it beat the NFL halftime show for the Super Bowl in the ratings. NFL looked at that like, can't have that shit no more. And then the next year, Michael Jackson, he did the halftime show, and that started to begin the trend of the Super Bowl turning and actually making the halftime show a spectacle. But if you love the halftime show, if you love the spectacle, you owe a great deal of gratitude to Keenan Ivory Wayans, Damon Wayans, David Allen Greer, everybody involved with In Living Color. Look up some of those episodes of In Living Color. A lot of that shit can't be done today on TV. You can't really do Men on Film. You probably can't do Handyman. Homie the Clown probably can get away with, but a lot of that you can't get away with. It's hilarious. Like I said, Jim Carrey, Jamie Foxx, an Oscar winner and a multiple-time Oscar nominee came from that show, and of course Jennifer Lopez. Like that. What else you need to say about it? Legends.
So let's go into this. We have the trailers that just recently came out for Flash, as well as also the trailer came out for Flash, as well as also Guardians of the Galaxy. And so one of the things that I'm hearing the most common thing for is that a lot of people are starting to forgive Ezra Miller, because apparently this is a good show. Even with James Gunn coming out saying that this is the actual a fantastic show and doubling down on the actual production.
You mean a movie?
For the movie, yeah. So this is good show movie. So with that, man, I would say so I'm gonna get your perspective, JT, and not JT, Jamel, and then we're gonna go to JT. But Jamel, man, so what do you think so far about Ezra Miller's trailer for The Flash?
Give me 2 minutes on the clock. I think we need to have some structure. I feel like I've been hogging a lot of the talking.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. I'm gonna just keep this 100% honest. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes shitty people get to have cool jobs. Shitty people get to be rewarded. Look at most of our U.S. presidents. A lot of them are shitty people, done horrible things, got rewarded. It's a fact of life. It's an unfortunate fact of life, but it's a fact of life nonetheless. Ezra Miller, by all accounts, and from the looks of the trailer, it looks tight. It looks good. It looks like a great performance. Ezra Miller, they, him, however he wants to identify genderly, is currently in rehab. So if you're wondering, well, why hasn't Warner Brothers fired him yet? It's because they really can't. See, Ezra Miller, part of the Screen Actors Guild, that is their union, the actors union. And if you fire an actor while they're in rehab or try and terminate their contract, it becomes a bit of a headache. Unions are a good thing. Never go to that point. Unions have done a lot of good. And it's protecting Ezra Miller from getting fired at this point. I will say this. He needs to keep out of trouble, period, because he's going to be in jail, and I don't think the legal system going to care how you identify. You're going to go in there in one of them prisons with the men folk, and they might be like, yeah, let me see how the Flash get down. But I'm not going to forgive him. I'm going to enjoy the movie. I'm going to enjoy Michael Keaton as Batman again. I'm going to enjoy what may be one of Ben Affleck's last times as Batman. I'm going to enjoy seeing Supergirl, who looks comic accurate and dope. I'm going to enjoy that stuff. I'm going to try and look past Ezra Miller. And hopefully we get somebody who's fucking sane next Flash when it's time for a new Flash movie. But, folks, it's a sad fact of life. Shitty people sometimes get rewarded. And often there's no consequences. Unfortunately, I said what I said, and I got to shut my window because it sounds like the shitty neighborhood that I'm going through is sounds like a fight's about to happen. I don't need to excuse me for a moment.
against the window and come on back. World star. All right, look. So history, what you said was a lot of people are forgiving Ezra Miller. No, we ain't. Can R. Kelly sing?
Yeah.
Heck yeah. But does that mean we need to go buy his new album?
Yeah.
And so the problem is, like, I understand not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. All right. If the Flash movie is good and it kicks off all the new stuff that DC is going to do, I understand. All right. Well, we already done filmed 80% of this movie and we just going to deal with this psychopath, till he is taken care of. But, I don't know what kind of rehab you're going through, but if you heard of some of the stuff this dude is doing, god dang, he need a little more than rehab. He need a little more than rehab. He need a priest. He need a jail cell. One of the ones with the little rubber around the outside, because that shit was crazy. So ultimately, I really think that you don't have to forgive people. You don't have to go support it. And honestly, if you don't like what Ezra Miller did as a human, don't go watch that movie. Wait till it comes out. Watch it at somebody else's house. Make sure you don't pay your money for it, because that's the best thing you can do is not give them no cash. If you don't support that, well, all you can do is keep yours.
Yeah.
So bootleg the movie. You know what I'm saying? Don't go pay to see it. Bootleg the movie. Go watch it and make sure that they don't get no money because you don't like the actor.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We don't condone bootlegging, by the way.
We don't condone bootlegging. I would say that, like, in the case of yeah. Jesus Christ.
Wink, wink.
He gets it.
I'm gonna let y'all have y'all moment. Go do your thing. Secret ingredient is crime.
Yes.
I don't feel like you gotta agree with everybody who goes and watch the actual film itself. I think the problem is, though, we gotta accept that you watch this shit, that somebody did some fucked up ass stuff. You gotta accept it. That, like, you like a little bit of in the case of, like, R. Kelly, you like a little pedophile in your music. You gotta accept that shit, dog. It's just a sprinkle of fucking pedophile in your music. A dude that likes to piss on, like, little 15-year-old girls. You gotta accept the fact that you like that shit. You gotta accept
sprinkle of pedophile. Goddamn, that's shit.
You gotta accept
it.
Don't give golden parachutes for golden showers.
Yeah, I'll just wait for you guys to watch it and listen to y'all review. Yo, hold up 1 second.
Listen to Chris Brown. You like a taint of domestic violence. You like a taint of it.
Yeah, good. Yo, big shout outs to Blind Toes on this one, man. Make sure you go check out the podcast on Spotify. Historical Voices from the East Side on Spotify. We will review that shit. go and review that shit. But so with that, man, I would just say that, like, you need to accept that, bro. That you like a sprinkle of that. You know, you need to accept that you love cocaine, not crack. When you listen to fucking Whitney Houston do her shit, you know, you gotta. Hey, Bobby Brown, you
Crack is
gotta
cheap.
accept that. That was cheap. Crack is cheap. Yeah, it's completely cheap. It's crack is whack. So I just think that y'all need to accept that, bro. Or like people in general just need to accept that. Like, yo, if we gonna listen to this,
It's
we got to go to the accept the other thing that this is
yeah.
associated with it.
It's also like it's fucked up to say this, but there is not one element of a lot of our lives that's not touched by somebody got fucked over for this. Like whether it's food you eat, the phones that you use, the shoes you wear,
Yes.
there is some element of human or environmental or animal suffering that is going on for you to live your daily life. Like you eat meats, well, gotta kill animals for that. You want to be vegan, a lot of that shit takes up a whole lot of water, kind of bad for the environment. Your phone made by some little kid in Asia or made by somebody in some factory where they got suicide nets outside the factory. Your shoes made in a sweatshop, your clothes made in a sweatshop. It is horrid shit, like the hat that I'm wearing. This water bottle is gonna probably end up killing a sea turtle once I throw it away. It is, it's not it's fucked up, like it's shit, it's life. Like
McDonald's
I'm
straws
sorry.
gonna impale a turtle
I
somewhere.
advise the thing is that I advise you to try just to maybe give a bright, hopeful spin. Try and change the things that you can. Like focus on the things that are like tangible that you can actually change. Vote in elections.
Yes.
Study, serve your community, and just realize the sun's gonna blow up eventually and wipe everything out. None of this is gonna matter. What's the next topic?
A couple million years. Shout out to Cheryl Lee Ralph for knocking it out the park with that "Lift Every Voice" before the Super Bowl. Okay.
Yeah, big shout.
I really did like the national anthem too. That dude was pretty
Yeah.
sick. I don't know who he was, but it was pretty good.
Well,
but when you talk
Dog,
about
everything surrounding the game was cool except the commercials and the halftime show.
which is in all honesty 2/3 of the reason to watch the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say something though? Does it feel like the Grammy, the Oscars, and the Super Bowl had the same experience? Like you had one that smacked Chris Rock right in the middle of it, and it was a full black production, right? And you look at the Super Bowl, full pretty much black production, and we got hit with a bad like fucking halftime show. We got hit with bad commercials. I feel like it only happened only in this point of time. You know what I mean? In the year that we get a lot of these black and brown shows.
Nah, because here's the thing. That Oscar show happened in 2022, and that I enjoyed that halftime show. And for me, the thing about this one is that even with the whack halftime show, even with the lackluster commercials, it's a Super Bowl that we got two black quarterbacks. And if you know the history of football in the NFL, that is a significant deal. Black quarterbacks are always often seen as not as intelligent as white quarterbacks. And it's been a struggle. And now black quarterbacks, the Jordan of quarterbacks is black. And I'm digging it. He's a African, but he is fully aware of who he is. And if you follow or if you have seen Patrick Mahomes Sr., his daddy, that is every one of your black uncles rolled into one. That is Patrick Mahomes Sr. Look him up.
Wait, I gotta ask a question real fast. I gotta ask a question real fast, and this is just a life joke because I just realized that we say that we talked about Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, he played for the Mets.
Yes, he played for the Mets. He was a
baseball. His father was a baseball player.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna ask a real question real fast, and this is a question. This is for JT more so than anything. So, would you call Patrick Mahomes' son a three-quarterkin?
Because he got the extra quarterback because of his position.
All right. Okay, but with that, man,
JT, did you look up Patrick Senior? Did you look
I
up Pat
did,
Mahomes
yeah,
Senior?
I
Patrick
did,
Senior,
I did,
yeah.
yeah.
So he is every one of your uncles, your country ass uncles.
Well, I don't have any country ass uncles, but Patrick Mahomes Sr. does seem like, the type of person who would make his kid, you gonna be something special, boy. If I can go to the league, so can you. Well, that's the wrong league, but I'm still proud of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can just see it. I can just see it. Yeah.
Now,
That's a black man that don't trust the dispensary. He's just like, hey man, hey Joe down the street, be good to me. Why would I go there?
so
He don't trust it. He don't trust him.
before we go, because I want to ask this last question, and then I want to move on to our Black History person for each of us. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. J.K. Rowling is in the news again, and the reason why she's in the news again is because of the fact that she's saying that people misinterpret her opinion on people who are trans. So it was this. It felt like it was anti. Goddamn Candy. It felt like this anti-trans rhetoric, basically saying that like people who are trans females are not females, they're not women, and it went on to this rhetoric. That's what kind of started it. And she doubled down and she actually started posting this actual hate group against trans males to females. So J.K. Rowling is now in the news again because of the fact that she said that you have misinterpreted, people who were watching misinterpreted her actual statement. Now, this recently, the game Hogwarts Legacy has just came out, which is supposed to be a game that's actually not associated with J.K. Rowling's. Now, I would argue because of the fact that it's still Harry Potter,
It's still take them to apart.
Yeah.
We're gonna make a game about Jesus, but don't bring God into it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I
talk
say.
about the Bible.
But this game is supposed to be.
We're gonna make a game about the ocean, but we ain't gonna say nothing about water.
Exactly. We ain't gonna say nothing. What the fuck is a fish? Like, what the hell is it? We don't have no fish in this damn this lake.
The fuck is a whale?
But so apparently it's hurting the sales for Hogwarts. Because of the fact that this game is this. So I'm gonna ask you this, man, because if I'm gonna go with JT on this one. Kind of similar to the fact of accepting the controversial like piece. Now that this is actually not associated with actual J.K. Rowling's, should this game be hurt because of the fact that it came out and this was a product that she originally wrote about?
The answer is yes.
But it's the gotcha.
Yes.
Go
the
ahead.
Reason being is because it is licensed from the Harry Potter series. So what you're talking about is something that was incepted by a person, that was created by an author. And then, like if Disney goes and takes the movie and they make a Harry Potter movie, are we not going to talk about the author of the books that the movie was based on? You know what I'm saying? Like, so were you going to make a game based off of the same universe? Who created that universe? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like you can't talk about Lord of the Rings and not talk about Tolkien. You know what I mean? So like it's if you don't like Tolkien, if you don't like Charles Dickens, then why are you going to go play a Christmas Carol game? You know what I mean? Like it don't Candy. I hear what you're saying. It don't matter if she didn't have a game in the franchise. It is Harry Potter, and yes, you cannot separate the person from. You cannot. Blind Toe says you cannot separate the art from the person.
Yes.
And not like the person who made it.
Yes.
And so he says you can actually. You can. Yeah. You can. Yes, you can. But in this case, I think it's kind of funny that J.K. Rowling is hurting the game. I think it's funny. And if sometimes you just need to shut the fuck up and just let your sales hit. But I mean, on some X, like the messed up thing is like, dog, I'm kind of with Rowling on this one. If you a dude, you cannot be a woman. You can be, we can call you miss or whatever, but you ain't gonna have no kids. You ain't gonna have the same type of build. There's differences there. And I think the problem is we don't really have any good, area for those people to be comfortable. It's not accepted for us to call them they. If that's what they want to be called, well, then we should refer to them as that. You know what I mean? And so I think instead of trying to like create a place for these people, she just talking junk about them. And yeah, I think that's pretty funny, and that should hurt her franchise then in that case. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It didn't come from a place of love. Might as well hurt her pocketbooks.
Yeah, man. I mean, I agree, and you know, I do think that it should just ultimately hurt her pockets. But in the case of this, like, you mean what, like Candy said, is that she's got like some of the best royalties in the game, bro. Like, this is not going to stop the next like Harry Potter book, which I think is supposed to be about his kids now. You know, it's not going to stop that book from selling and being popular at this point in time, because there's still a bunch of people who are still like, who are part of this. And this is what I stated a few weeks back. There are LGBTQ people. I know that people don't believe this, that are racist, that are discriminatory against themselves as well as other people like that. Just like there's Black people who are discriminatory against themselves and other people who are in other minority groups. It's a common thing, and we need to accept that they're going to have this person who's going to do like with the NFL. Everybody was like, "Oh, we're going to protest the NFL," and I bet you this is the blackest black fucking like Super Bowls we had, at least in the past 2 years. But we still got all those Black people forgetting about Colin Kaepernick, who took a fucking knee. But these motherfuckers are saying we're gonna protest because we don't have no Black Lives Matter and shit like that. You know,
what's
like,
the fix? What's the fix history?
Yeah.
You know, what the fix is that we got to stand on our moral high ground, man. High ground, bro. If you're gonna sit there and say that, like, yo, this is the wrong thing, and we got to hold that same judgment, we got to understand that there's another person who fits your values and that is actually producing the same type of shit. You have to double down and invest in the people who actually are doing the right thing, and then also on top of that, actually producing the same content that you like. So, for example, like R. Kelly is really great at music, but at the same token, we still kind of, I know that he has a little bit of controversy, but a little bit of syphilis and like rumors in his music, which is Usher. You got him. You got other people you can fucking enjoy in their music. You can enjoy their product and actually just stay away from it. If you don't like pedophiles, if you're going to sit there and say, I hate this, then you got to accept that you can't listen to, you better be careful what you say to me. You better accept that, dog. You can't listen to the Chocolate Factory. You can't listen to TP2. You can't cry when I Wish come on. You can't.
And there's a whole litany of other artists you got to get out of your catalog too.
Exactly.
You gotta oh, I said, yeah.
Yeah. You can't go to Kirk Franklin for daddy advice. I'm just throwing it out there. You can't go to Kirk Franklin and ask him for like advice on how to talk to your kids. I'm just throwing it out there. The Christians can get it too. I'm sorry. We remember that phone call.
It's true.
I had one, but I stopped myself because I promised we weren't gonna bring him up. But J.K. Rowling's net worth is like almost $1 billion. So she's made enough. She's made enough money. You don't
made more enough.
Yeah. The sucky thing is just like, damn, I'm tempted to get the game because it's just like, damn, I want to be an evil ass wizard. Like any game where I have that option of being evil, I want to just go to evil. Like that's my ultimate fantasy for a Pokemon game. Is you get to choose to start out as a member of the evil team and you just go on your path. Like that's just like, let me be an asshole in this world, in this game. And I want that in the Harry Potter game, but then it's just like, JK, if you would shut the fuck up and just not add no if you would just be quiet, that'd be better. But nope, you gotta keep opening your mouth and doubling down and
And you know,
it's a lot of artists
gotta be quiet.
And you know what's also fucked up?
Just get your check. Like shut up, get your money, and move on. Like she's almost she can be on an island somewhere by herself, chilling, got her kids.
She's worried about other people that ain't got nothing to do with her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that. Like, this is something that I've never gotten about the super rich and the elite. It's like nothing really can affect you on like any type of level. Like if you need surgery, you can have the finest concierge doctors and surgeons on deck. The law itself really doesn't apply to you.
Yes.
Who the president, who your congressman, that shit doesn't matter to like an average. Like, do you think Warren Buffett really gives a shit who the senator of his state is? No, It doesn't matter. And it's just like so many of these people want to do these dumb, ordinary things that affect the middle. Why does Elon Musk really care that much about Twitter? Like it's clear this nigga he was bullied or he was just friendless in high school, and he's trying to be popular, and he can't accept the fact that old ass sleepy Joe Biden, his tweets was getting more attention than his. That's hilarious. But who are worth hundreds of billions of dollars? You have more money than some kingdoms had in antiquity. Dog, just focus on your rockets and just stop worrying about it. I don't get it. I don't
think about it. Even like Shirley, she almost got in trouble for her shit that she was doing, and I mean, almost fucking stopped Black Panther from happening. Zachary Levi is fucking up too because of the fact that he's spreading this fucking weird ass shit that he's been talking on whose podcast was it? Seth Rogen, not Joe Rogan's podcast. Like, stop fucking up your money, dog. Like, stop.
I mean, he was probably not gonna be. Honestly, he was probably not gonna be Shazam past this anyway. So it's a good thing that movie's coming out soon and that they're rebooting, because DC honestly needs to clear out the water, because between him, Amber Heard, and Ezra Miller, they kind of need a hard reset on everything. It's just like we fuck around and we pick some actors who are they fucked up. This was Marvel, they would have been fired. But we've got more show to do.
Yeah, we do. So I want to take like quick 10 minutes on doing on this, man. So me, JT, and Jamel, we all decided that we was gonna actually recognize at least one person for Black History each. So we can't pick none of the normal suspects. So most common for Black History is like Henry Box Brown, Martin Luther King, Frederick Douglass, Malcolm X, those normal suspects at the game, right? So we decided that we were going to pick somebody that is actually like not really known, but actually has committed to Black history. So I'm going to start off. I'm going to go with JT first and then Jamel. Who did y'all pick for your Black history person?
I went with James Baldwin. Okay. James Baldwin is an American author, poet, essayist, and playwright who is arguably one of the best thought provocateurs of the civil rights movement. One of the things that was undeniable about James Baldwin was his elegance, his articulation. He said things in a way that you could not refute. You couldn't just say, no, that's not true. The way he painted the world was beautiful, but he wasn't afraid of drawing it in the shades of ugly that it was. And so James Baldwin is one of my favorite people just because he broke barriers, so many different barriers in so many different ways. He was a gay man, he was a Black man, and he had a lot to say about those things, and he also recognized how America treated him differently because of those two features of his life. And so he had a very heartfelt, very thought out way of looking at the world. And it was just very beautiful and very honest. And, one of my favorite James Baldwin quotes is, those who say it can't be done are normally interrupted by those doing it. And it just, reminds me that anything is possible. And if you think it can't be done, well, you have decided that it can't for you. But that doesn't mean somebody else can't come along and do it right. So, James Baldwin has always been one of my favorite people. He's just so interesting. If you ever get the chance to watch one of his interviews or listen to any of his debates that he's done, or read any of his books, go Tell It on the Mountain. You know what I'm saying? Go read Notes of the Native Son. And you'll really be able to see America in a very astute way. He was so good at holding up a mirror and being like, look, this is what it is. Look at yourself. And the way he articulated it was just unavoidable. So James Baldwin, my favorite thought provocateur.
Awesome sauce, man.
Love that. This week I've chosen to highlight one Bill Russell, legendary. Can't say it enough. Figure in the world of professional sports. Bill Russell is one of the most decorated, as far as accomplishments, athletes in American sports history. 11-time NBA champion, 2 of which he won as a player coach. Oh, by the way, he was the first Black coach in the history of the NBA, leader of the Boston Celtics. Just on the court, what he did in college as well as in high school. Let me just give you this. 1956, he won the NCAA championship. 1957, he won the NBA title with the Celtics back to back. One of the three people to have ever done that back to back. One of the others being Michigan's own Magic Johnson. Oh, and that same year, 1956, he won an Olympic gold medal, all while going from a college student to a rookie in the NBA. He was a legend with the Boston Celtics, and during his time with the Celtics, he did with a lot of prejudice, a lot of racism from his own home city of Boston. And there was a very antagonistic relationship between him and the city of Boston. But Bill Russell, he managed to be not only a prominent figure in sports, but a prominent figure during the Civil Rights era, during the Black Power movement. He was among the athletes and politicians who showed support to Muhammad Ali during the 1960s and 70s. And as recently as 2011 with the Colin Kaepernick protest, he showed support and solidarity with the players kneeling, letting them know that they are not alone. If you hear any NBA player, any athlete speak about Bill Russell, it is reverence that they have. Like, not just, oh, I appreciate the game. There is legitimate reverence that they have from Isaiah Thomas, Michael Jordan, especially Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who arguably deserves a ton of credit from that perspective as well. They, like, Bill Russell is one of those people that they damn near worship the ground that he walked on. Amazing athlete, amazing humanitarian, worked with children. He was an incredible figure, a figure of success, a figure of Black excellence. He passed away in July of 2022 and deserves a ton of respect. He showed character, he showed integrity, he showed anger, he showed resistance. He is truly one of the most unique figures. And as we, in sports, in basketball, as we get further and further from his playing days, it gets a little bit harder, and hopefully he will not be forgotten as a great player. If you have Netflix, there's a Netflix documentary that recently came out about him. Go ahead, check it out. It will open your eyes to him. But yeah, Bill Russell, salute.
What's that Netflix documentary called?
I'm pulling it up now because it just recently came out, and I'm trying to get the exact name for it now.
Bill Russell Legend, it looks like.
Yep, there it is. Bill Russell Legend.
I know what I'm going to sleep to tonight.
Yeah. And it's also, just before you get into it,
that's an excellent choice, Jamel.
Yeah, before you get into it, history, it's one of those things where it's like older NBA players, like older NBA footage. The NBA does a terrible job of like their old footage and stuff and giving real reverence to the playing days of their legends. But yeah, so yeah, definitely check out that Legend documentary and see Bill Russell in action.
Gotcha. So my person, I was trying to figure out who I was going to pick, man, because I was kind of like running into a little bit of a wall. And there's a particular reason why, because there's so many good people, and there's so many good people. There's so many people to like talk about, and I feel like we don't have enough time, ever, like even in a year, to talk about how many people have contributed to our history and have like changed everything. But I'm going to go a little bit closer to home with this because of the fact that I think that it's still kind of important to kind of go this route. We as Black people, and we have black and brown people, we're spiritual people usually. And I just think that is just funny that we talk about St. Peter, we talk about St. Michael, and so on and so forth, right? I didn't know that we technically have our own saint. And this is an Afro-Brazilian person. Her name is Saint Escrava. I'm botching her name. Escrava Anastasia. I do know that the last name. Now I'm gonna like identify her by Anastasia because that's the part I want, and I don't want to like mess up this person's legacy. They were an African Brazilian slave during the 1800s. Now there's no real way of like actually kind of pinning down when she passed away, but we do know it. They do know is kind of like how she passed away. She was the product of like slavery and also product of slave master and relationship. So she was a child of a slave master, and she was born with blue eyes and still with actual really like dark skin as well. She was treated like really cruelly. How she was treated cruelly is the fact that they used to actually put a mask on her, this actual mask that she had to live with throughout her whole life. And this is actually how they believe that she died. She died from tetanus because of the fact of all the actual metal being inside of her face. Here's the even more fucked up thing is the fact that the people who put her mask on her, she helped save a bunch of their family members and have forgiven a lot of those people, was on record for have forgiven a lot of those people, even people who were part of slavery as well. This is just basically kind of giving them that hey, like, I get that you're a fucked up person. I forgive you for my own personal spiritual being as well. And she helped save those slave masters' family and giving her the actual identity as saint because of the fact that the way that she died is considered an actual martyr death. So we actually have African descent saint in Saint Escriva Anastasia. So I picked that actual person. But my other person I was thinking about was Phyllis Wheatley, but I want to do that person next week. But Saint Escriva Anastasia, I'm gonna say that is my person this week. So Jamel, what movie we doing this week, man? We done said what we said, we done did what we need to do, man. Tell me, dog, what we talking about this week for movies?
All right, let's dive into our movie review. Oh, by the way, to follow up on the segment we did a couple weeks ago with me recasting a movie with mostly white people, a Salt Mine movie with a black cast, Clue from 1985. That was going to be my choice this week. But let's get into our actual movie review. It is the 2002 comedy drama Barbershop. Barbershop, directed by Tim Story, written by a few talented individuals, and stars the one and only Ice Cube. By this point in the Ice Cube timeline of acting, he had been doing it for a while. Ice Cube had successfully transitioned from rapping to fully being an actor. By this point, he had did Ghosts of Mars, he had did 2 Friday movies, Boys in the Hood, and now was moving on to something that was, to be quite honestly, it was different for him. This wasn't one where he could be as bombastic. This is one where he had to be a little softer, and there had to be a little more flexing of his acting skills. Barbershop is the story of Calvin. He is the owner of a barbershop on the south side of Chicago. It is a staple of the neighborhood that they are in. Colorful cast of characters, including Cedric the Entertainer, Eve, Michael Ealy. A lot of great characters in this movie, a lot of great actors. But let's stick with the man himself. JT, before we go into the movie, what do you think of Ice Cube, not just as artist, but Ice Cube, the actor?
So Ice Cube is not a good actor. Let's say that. We'll just get that out the way, okay? Ice Cube, however, does bring a believable amount of struggle to all of his roles. You know what I'm saying? So like when we first see Ice Cube, he's trying to get his studio going in the basement of his house, and it literally blows up in his face. And so we know from jump that he is like a serial entrepreneur. He's tried to do multi-level marketing with Herbalife. He's trying to do other various ventures that just didn't pan out. And Ice Cube brings a kind of like wiggliness to his character in just the opening scenes that is believable. And so I really didn't think that his character Calvin was very special until the movie goes on and you start seeing his legacy. And then Calvin also realizes his legacy throughout the film, which, I mean, if you raise your kids right, they would know the legacy and it would be drilled into them. So, you know, that's probably one of the only unbelievable things about it. But ultimately, you know, just from opening up the barbershop and just the banter with the lady next door, kicking people out, you know, at the barbershop all day. Those are the things that I think Ice Cube did really good and really brought to the role of believability.
Okay.
Yeah. History. What about you? What are your thoughts on Ice Cube? Not just in the movie, kind of in totality of Ice Cube, the actor.
I feel like he plays the same character really, really well.
Yep.
That's all I can say about him. The whole time when I was watching this movie, I just felt like I was watching Craig. I was watching I forgot his other character name from All About the Benjamins. I was just watching all of these characters that he already plays, and that we removed. Because I think we removed or reviewed All About the Benjamins. I know for sure we reviewed.
No. Weirdly, we haven't reviewed Next Friday or All About the Benjamins. In fact, let me give y'all a little. I usually do some of this trivia stuff towards the end, but All About the Benjamins, this and Friday After Next all came out within the span of a year of each other.
Yeah, they were all the same.
And we all know how we feel about Friday After Next. Good guy. Continue history.
So I felt like he played the same character over and over again. But again, kind of going into like what JT said though, the problem is that he's not a good actor. So there was a point in time like his wife goes up to try to kiss him, and he's just like, "What's that for?" And it's like, "You about to go to work? No offense, motherfucker. Like you don't kiss your wife about to
right.
go to work.
This is normal married stuff.
This is normal stuff." But then even when she kissed him, it was like eyes open, and his eyes wandered away. And it's like, you know, I get that you're preoccupied, but like that felt like that was not a romanticized situation. That didn't make me feel like, damn, this is the person that he loves and he'll sacrifice for, right? So I almost felt like he was as the way that relationship was, he was almost as trash as your boy who was fucking with Sean or whatever like that on Eve in the movie. But
not that far. Not that far.
But
that nigga was
it wasn't that bad.
What I mean by that is that like it felt it felt like it was not connected, right? That's your partner. You would have some type of connection to that, and there was no connection in that scene.
His girl did have teeth like the Chicago skyline.
God,
but that was no reason to avoid her kisses like that.
Yeah,
that's less of him being a shitty husband and more of Ice Cube still at this point not being a what you would call good actor.
He's not a heartthrob by any means.
Well, he ain't gonna. O'Shea Jackson Sr. is not as good of an actor as O'Shea Jackson Jr. Let's just say that.
True. Yeah, what I'm saying is that like it was disconnected to that point where it didn't feel believable. It didn't feel like he was able to put himself into that particular moment. Now, granted, there are the scenes like, for example, when he goes in there and he puts your boy out for chases your boy because of the fact that he had a job interview and he had to get a haircut. That felt like that was a kind of an authentic moment. But again, that felt like, hey, we're gonna chase the little kid down who keeps kicking over our trash cans in Friday. So it just felt like we repeated a lot of the same shit all over again.
I mean, I wonder why.
I can see that. In fact, like, let's not even lean into it. I do think there are some comparisons that you can make it to Friday. It's primarily one setting.
Yes.
It has a large ensemble of characters. It's centered around Ice Cube. It's in a predominantly black area, south side of Chicago, south central LA.
Mm-hmm.
And but I will say this, and this is just my thoughts on him in this role. I felt Calvin, if I do agree with history, you know, he's a lot of Craig in this. It feels like Craig from Friday Part 1. This feels like a more natural sequel to Friday than the other two Friday movies. Like this.
Yeah, Craig finally got out of the hood, moved to Chicago, started a barbershop. They could have just named his ass Craig and we would have gone along with it.
We could have.
It feels more in line with who Craig was in the first movie than who Craig was in parts 2 and 3 of Friday. Like Craig in Friday 1 had a little more sense to him. Craig and Friday 2 and 3, because those movies got a little bit wackier, they lost the heart. And I think that's the biggest thing that I'll give this movie, is that there is genuine heart with this movie. But
well, can
let's
I
talk
ask you a
about
question real fast before we move on then? Would this movie been more acceptable and a better connection if we would have named this The Barbershop Friday After Next or some shit like that in that context?
No, because because Friday, by this point, like I said, this came out within the same year span of Friday After Next. The dope was already stepped on too much. The liquor had been watered down too much with Friday. It was over at that point. It was best that it was its own thing. And I do give credit to the movies eventually. Yeah. The Barbershop movies do feel more like their own movies. But let's talk about some of the other characters in this movie. JT, what did you think of some of the other barbers within the cast? We had Cedric the Entertainer as Eddie.
He was so great.
Bro.
Look, all you over here talking about, y'all don't know how to do nothing right here. She got around. We're gonna show you something. You got to get this ladder up here real good. You know, it was just, he brought so much character to that barbershop, and he really felt like a crotchety old man, even though he wasn't even like 40 in the role or whatever. You know, so you know he's sitting over here. He did his 55, 60-year-old self pretty decent.
Yeah.
And honestly, so if you didn't know, in the deleted scenes of Barbershop, he drank the apple juice.
Yeah, that was a deleted scene. He was drinking the apple juice.
So the mystery was solved.
And you know what? Credit to Jimmy Sean Patrick Thomas. He stood strong. He wasn't lying. He was telling the absolute truth. He was an asshole about it, but he was telling the truth. But I think I think we can come to a consensus, like we usually do when it comes to like the standout character of a movie. We did that with Head of State, where we were just like, Bernie Mac kind of owns everything he's in. I think we can all agree. Cedric the Entertainer, best actor in this movie, not just for the comedic stuff. I feel Cedric the Entertainer kind of nails the heart of what the barbershop is in his speech to Calvin once he finds out that Calvin sold the shop. It is, you can feel
Keith David is also a great deal in this movie.
I would argue that the reason why we got Barbershop 2 and 3 is because of Cedric the Entertainer's character. Because even in, I want to say, it's Barbershop 3, they actually started focusing more so on him and his first love and stuff like that.
It was two. That was two.
Yeah,
that was actually Barbershop 2.
Yeah, they was trying to focus more so on that inside of that. It just shows how much like his character became pivotal. You went from like having these like hot takes to actually having some kind of character to him, outside of like what we normally got. I would agree with JT on that one. He definitely took the show.
Yeah. What about like I said, Cedric the Entertainer, like the comedic stuff you can expect because he was doing that on the Steve Harvey show. He was doing that King's Comedy, but I think it's the emotional stuff. That's where Cedric kind of like
his monologue stopped the show. Like and that whole thing. Now you got to tell him, and he just left out there in a huff and everything. He brought the drama with him. You know what I'm saying? And like I think without his support, the movie probably would have fallen way flatter than it did. But definitely he added some good dynamics and with the interaction with all of the different people in the barbershop though. I think the best part about this movie is how it really felt like they had a community into one place. They really fleshed that out so good. And
JT, you have brought community to our discussions about a lot of these movies. We talk about that with Friday After Next. We talked about that. We've talked about that quite a few times, and that's where I was going to get to with you guys. Like first JT, and then with History, the neighborhood that they're in, the feel of camaraderie. How do you feel that this movie really linked or displayed community for where they are in Chicago?
I actually paused this mug at 8 minutes and 6 seconds into the film. I think that was the first time he kicked out the dude for asking for a haircut after he got told he wasn't going to get no loan. And I told my wife, I was like, this feels like a suburb. This feels like we done drove past this mug going to the restaurant or whatever. Like, you've been here. If you've been through Chicago, you've been to this hood. It felt so natural and so down to earth. And I really credit the writers for this one, all three of them, because it felt like they crafted a hood that you could walk down. And do you feel safe? Well, somebody just tried to jack the ATM over there, but they weren't very smart. So they probably not going to get away with it, be gone long. You know what I mean?
I wanted to ask you that question, JT, because I know that you lived there, right? And for me, when I was watching the first 3 minutes of the fucking movie is fabulous. Girl, I Traded All, right? I felt like we should have just Bro, they played the whole goddamn song just to introduce every single person in the side of that. And I was like, okay, cool. I get it. But at the same token, 3 minutes on this damn. But I had to remember this movie is coming early off of fucking 90s.
And this was in 2002. So that song was hot. That was a smash hit when they played that mug. It wasn't played out at that point.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you this, man. I felt like at points in time this movie wasn't Chicago. I felt like this was just a neighborhood. Whereas like with Friday, you got that neighborhood. You got Compton or whatever you wanted to put that as particular. I don't remember exactly what neighborhood it was. It felt like that. Whereas when I watched Barbershop, I felt like, oh, we in Grand Rapids at one point in time. We just happened to just teleport randomly under the train tracks in Chicago to Shop. I just felt like that. You know what I mean? I felt like there was moments where it lost translation of what Chicago was. And I think
that Friday had the neighborhood that you moved around in, and we didn't get no movement in the neighborhood. He didn't go 2 blocks over to go talk to Mr. Wallace. He got in the car and went somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it was funny, like they was just driving. Oh, pull the car over. Just pull the car over. And all of a sudden they're on the Chicago River. Nobody saw that coming. Nobody.
That's what I'm saying. It felt like
but that's an editing thing.
Yeah, I felt like that was like that part was not the fact that they had no continuity like Tubi. It just felt like I felt like there was a loss in translation of what and where we were at. Like all of a sudden he was like, I'm standing outside freezing my ass off waiting for you, right? Then why are you standing outside freezing your ass off if you had your car the whole time? right outside the police department. It felt like some parts were just not translating as much in their heads into actually on screen. That makes sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, so but that's part of the problem of Hollywood. Hollywood sometimes forgets what it's like. You think Hollywood knows what it's like to live in Chicago?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I absolutely hear what you're saying. And when they go and they hop out, it doesn't feel like they're they could be in any ghetto, any city. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I hear what you're saying. Yeah. The way that I think the movie tried to make it relevant again is doing things like bring in Jalen Rose and his little cameo, with his welcome to the Bulls, you know what I'm saying? So like they reinforced the notion, even if they didn't do it well with the story, they still had those Chicago elements. You see the Chicago PD pull up, you know what I'm saying? Like you go to the Chicago PD station. So the movie reminded me enough that it was in Chicago to get a pass.
Yes.
But I absolutely hear what you're saying. Yeah.
I feel
that's editing.
Yeah.
I'm be honest. I think like fair points because like you've got that familiarity. Anyway. Yeah. I think it felt like not just Chicago. I think it felt like a black neighborhood because we all know that dude who hustles, who sells any and everything from bootleg DVDs. Don't buy bootleg DVDs, kids. Wink, 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 wink. Puppies, shoes, fake Timberlands, that new DMX, all the bootleg snacks, 2000 snacks, all of that. We know somebody who's that. We know somebody who always ain't got the money for something, but just like, dog, I get you next time. That's my man who kept getting with the haircut. Like we all know that, like honestly, and this is something that has probably been lost over the years. There was always a cop, like not like a cop harassing. There was just a police officer that we happen to know. Like there was that dude When I grew up, I'm sure
Went to
like
school with him or something.
who, yeah, who knew? Like who knew the neighborhood? Who could be one of the people like, all right, man, don't like who could break some shit up, but who was cool with y'all? Like it felt lived in, similar to Friday. And I think the biggest compliment that I can give this is this didn't feel like, all right, we happened to. It didn't feel like a movie setup. It felt like we just happened to drop in on a random day and this shit's happening. This shit's popping off. Like it just felt like that. And I think that was the beauty of Friday is that it felt like a random ass Friday. Like, oh damn, this is the Friday that Craig and Debo fought. Just happened to have that day. So yeah, I really do enjoy the community elements of the movie. But let's give some more credit to the actors and the other ensembles. Particularly two I want to highlight because this is one of their first like acting roles or bigger roles in acting, I should say. Eve and Michael Ealy. What did you guys think of both of those two characters? First, we'll go to history.
I was actually gonna say, man, because I know that we talked about like Cedric the Entertainer's like dialogue. I love how Michael Ealy. I felt like I liked Michael Ealy's character significantly more than what I usually would like him in other stuff. One of the parts that I remember, and I took this fucking note, man. Y'all remember like at the very beginning, he was walking down the street, the police officer was looking at him, and then you can kind of see that was that judgment for it. But then he walks inside of the barbershop, goes into the locker room or whatever like that. And then you see Sean Patrick Thomas character comes in. He say, hey, you know, they got the ATM robbed. Do you know anything about it? But he did it in a way of like accusing him of it. And then the police officer comes in and kind of accused him of it as well. I like the fact that Michael Ealy, his character, turned that shit around on Sean Patrick Thomas' character. He said, hey, what's Eve's character? Eve's character, he told her, Terry, Jimmy drinks your apple juice. And your boy automatically got on the defensive. But I just felt like that was a great way of playing that role reverse. You criminalized this dude the whole time throughout the whole movie. And you spent the whole movie as the educated black person, as the person who knows everything, having to defend yourself because you are thinking that you're high and mighty. You're supposed to be innocent. You're going to college and everything like that. You see how easy it is to be criminalized just by one person accusing you of one specific thing. And that's what he spent the whole time doing. And I just love the kind of like the tongue-in-cheek that Michael Ealy put to that. He spent that whole time basically making Sean Patrick Thomas' character just be an asshole and understanding his ignorance, especially when he came down and said, yeah, scallops is a shellfish. Before it actually hit your plate, they're stuck between two shells. So like it just showed the ignorance of his character the whole time. So Michael Ealy's character, I think, actually stole the show as well, just like Cedric the Entertainer.
Okay.
Can I talk about
JT.
a problem? Can I talk about a problem I got with this show? Here's the problem that I got with Barbershop. Nobody's hair looks super raggedy.
Very good point.
I really had a tough. I go up and look at my beard. Do you think I could get it cleaned up? Yes, they could go in, they could trim the stuff up, give me a nice little line. But everybody up in there is like, clean you up, pal. Like, did he look like he just sat in the barbershop that morning? What you talking about? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, your boy who had the job interview, he was the only one that really looked kind of messed up.
But like even then, he could have just picked it out, dog. Like it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I get you. He could have patted it down, wore a do-rag or something like that.
But let me tell you, if you go to the barbershop, you see some people that look like they've been through a windstorm. I tell you what, they come up in here looking like Frederick Douglass in the flesh once again. But now we didn't have nobody up in there looking that hit.
Yeah, I get you. I definitely get that.
Fair point. What about Eve? Eve is the most prominently featured female in the movie. She had a small role in Triple X in 2000. Also, a lot of shit came out in 2002. Spider-Man did as well. But this is her first prominent role in acting capacity. What did y'all think of Eve?
I felt like her character was almost irrelevant. I think she was just there for comedic value. The story of the apple juice would not make sense if you didn't have like Terry in her situation with that. If we wanted to use the Nick, that's his name, Danica, aspect of it, you almost the one that had hit him with the safari punch. I felt like that was.
That is so racist. God damn it. Why gotta be a safari punch?
A safari punch. When you say that word, like this is how you put down a charging lion. Safari punch.
What y'all think about
That
the wood?
We are actually doing the wood next week. That's our movie next week.
Yeah, we're doing the wood next
Eve,
week.
To answer the question, Eve was all right. I mean, you could have flipped out anybody. But, you know, like I like the fact that Eve had an attitude because.
Oh, wow.
Oh, shit.
What the hell just happened?
He dropped everybody out.
No, it wasn't even me, Doug. It was the website. But go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
Eve made sense because she was having love problems. She found her nigga cheating on her, being dirty and shit with another girl, trying to act brand new to it. You know what I'm saying? And then her dumbass came out from under the bed too. So like then Eve whooped her ass. So can you imagine going to work after having whooped two people's ass? Yeah. And then a dude came back without a black eye with them roses, and I was like, "What's up with them flowers?" And I was like, "What's up with this? What? I don't get how he came by unscathed. That didn't make no sense to me."
Well, I'm gonna even challenge you even more, JT. Why is Eve even at that shop? Because technically, there's a beauty salon right next to it.
Right.
She wants to cut hair.
Cutting hair.
Yeah, no, that's the thing.
Cutting hair. The boy even made a joke about it. Tori, whatchamacallit? He even said that he would ask her for some braids, but she was doing somebody else's hair. So there was a couple of times.
Cutting too.
Yeah,
she was cutting.
They do braids at the barbershop.
Yeah, she diversifies.
I'm about to say. I guess it was just kind of like one of those weird things because we do have the show movie eventually go the
history. What you saying? You saying women can't cut hair? You saying black women can't cut hair?
I'm saying for continuity purposes, it makes damn sense that if we're gonna do this thing, we're gonna do this thing right. Because not a damn person walked out with braids, even though like they had this whole thing, and she was supposed to be the person that was supposed to be the braider. And then also on top of that, they had the next door that was doing braids.
People were walking out with haircuts though.
Gotcha. Okay, fair enough.
The thing is that
it felt like it didn't mix. Her character didn't. Outside of the fact of her love interest, I felt like it unfortunately typecast her into one specific thing and never gave her anything else more to deal with. Whereas we had Danica not only had to deal with the fact that like people were talking about him being soft and African, but now he's actually in love with somebody else. So he had multiple different things. Whereas there was nothing for Terry's character.
Well, remember Eve also helped stop the fight between the white dude and the know-it-all. And so
it was a group effort because
Marvin Gaye
I think what it showed was you need a sensible woman up in here to help you shift some things.
Yeah,
and she gave a little atmosphere, attitude, and stuff. Now, what I think should have happened is I think she should have talked some mess about the kid's mama who got the bald patch in his head.
Yeah,
she should have talked some stuff about her. You know what I mean? Because she came in and everybody was looking at ass and titties, and I'm like, that is the worst wig in this whole movie.
The face was, it was.
She was a little bit of a paper bagger, but
well,
okay.
To respond to Candy. It's not the fact that I don't think that she can't cut hair. It's the fact that like they categorized her a couple of times as doing braids, and nobody did braids. Even your boy, Lorenz Tate's brother. I don't remember his name. He said that I would have asked Terry to do my hair, but she was upset or something like that to that extent. So they were saying that she was doing braids, and I didn't see nobody get braids in the whole thing. So
she was doing both history. You got to get over that.
I know. I'm not mad. I'm answering a question.
All right, let me ask you a question about the Stooges, y'all. What did y'all think about Anthony Anderson and the future Councilman Tate from Power?
Bruh. And they were hilariously incompetent. Like I'm watching Pain and Gain right now, and it is a movie about stupid ass criminals. These guys were hilariously incompetent. Like the scene where getting past homeboy who's eating a Whopper and they're going up the stairs and they're trying to come down and his hand gets crushed. There was so much hilarious shit with those two and their idiocy. I love them. I love Lorenz Tate's brother, which that's got to be rough because it's like you almost look like Lorenz Tate. You almost, but not quite, bro. He's funny though. He's funny. But Anthony Anderson, he was hilarious. Like they were hilarious. They were a good idiotic double act in this movie, in my opinion. What about you, History? What you think of those two?
So as far as like Anthony Anderson, I felt like Anthony Anderson was the one that was getting his ass whipped the whole time. I would have loved to see your boy getting some kind of like repercussions as well, but it just felt like Anthony Anderson was the one that was just getting his ass whipped the whole time. Even in like Home Alone, you had like Lloyd and them; they actually both were getting like manhandled by Macaulay Culkin's character, right? This one just felt like it was only one-sided, and just the other one just kept getting him in trouble in some form or fashion. So I think it was like some foreshadowing because Anthony Anderson said that, you know how they got that one dumb dude that get him caught? Like he kind of did like foreshadow this. That's you. Like that, it did feel like some foreshadowing on this part.
And then the next scene with him by himself, he trying to break into the ATM by himself. And that was some great ad-libbing. I bet you, like that little sequence right there where he came and tried to kick it, you know.
What's my mama code?
Right. That right there, that is what I dreamed of about being an actor. I was like, I can do that stuff right there. I can give you some real life instances.
Yeah, I feel like if Anthony Anderson would have did this all by himself, he would have never got caught. He would have never got caught. If Anthony,
he wouldn't have got caught. He also wouldn't have got no money because the machine was new.
And you know what? We never got that payoff. That would have been the best payoff if they finally get that mug open just to find out it's empty. And then Anthony Anderson is having a fight with his buddy, and then that's when Cube and light eyes dude walk in.
Take care, Candy.
Yeah, so I'm actually gonna say this too, man. And this is a question I really wanted to ask y'all. Because you brought up a valid point, the payoff aspect of it. I felt like I had a problem with the idea that like Ice Cube had to sell this barbershop because technically, just mind me, on this one is the fact of like this is a historical place at this point in time. It survived not only the civil rights and also the riots that was happening in Chicago at the time, but also on top of that, it was used for other like. They were listing like all this historical stuff, even Wilt Chamberlain and stuff like that. So it could have actually been registered as a historical place.
And we know this is possible because of the Muppets.
Fair enough. Yes.
They did that in a couple years ago in their Christmas special. That's how they saved the theater.
Yes.
So I honestly don't have a problem. No, go right ahead, JT.
Yeah, why couldn't this be a historical place? And honestly, $20,000. He sold the barbershop for $20,000. That's nothing. That's not like, dog. That's you. So you got to do.
That's not even a down payment. That's it's
hardly a down payment for a house.
Yeah, it's so bad, man. So that's what I'm saying. Like nobody said that to him at all. Not even his accountant. That like, why don't you register it as a historical place? Because it survived so much.
God damn.
So
that is not good. Okay, so $20,000 in 2002 money is the equivalent of $33,000 today, which means it's still not worth that much more.
No,
I'll say this, and here's why I don't have as much of a problem with the idea of him selling it. Clearly, the Calvin character has some inadequacy issues, not necessarily in bed, but he fancies himself as being like, I want to be more than a damn barber. In his mind, he's like, no, I want to inspire the greatness. I want to be bigger than what this is. And he can't see in front of his face how significant what he actually has is. And his wife points that out. It's like, dog, we weren't in debt. The shop wasn't losing money until you started all these get rich quick schemes. So I think him having to be selfish and wanting to sell that, I think it works for the movie. I do agree it could have been registered as a historical site, all of that. But I think he needed to sell that and he needed to lose the shop in order to actually have any type of growth. Because for him, it's just like, dog, this is just a barber shop. He didn't think about everything that went into it. The place where he met his wife there, didn't think about that. It means so much. And he couldn't see that because a lot of people in real life, they want to be so much bigger than what they are. They want to have delusions of grandeur and they can't see the things that are right in front of their eyes. And that's what throughout that day, he learned that, seeing old boy getting his shoes, seeing like the camaraderie that his barbers had. And then, of course, the two speeches that Eddie gave, the monologue when he was shaving old boy, and then that final speech where he's just like, dog, this is the barbershop. This is the black man's company. Like, he didn't know all of that until he had to stupidly sell it. So I agree with both of y'all, but I get why he sold it in the context of the movie.
You mean, I understand that, man. I just think that like we should have just had some type of way of like, I get that they were trying to say the $50,000, right? But in the end, we know that $50,000 is going to go, 40 of that is at least going to go to Mr. Wallace over there, right? 10,000 of that is going to, yeah, well, 40,000 because he promised the 40,000.
Well, not after the police was there standing at him, you was like, "We good? Yeah, we good. Yeah, you got dang right. All right."
Yeah.
So it was my understanding that Cube got to take them $50K and reinvest it into the barbershop, and that's why it looks so much nicer.
I mean, yeah. So
speaking of Lester Wallace, every movie needs a big worm type figure. Lester Wallace is that. He is a Chicago. Again, this is a nigga that I've seen on the streets. Like the dude, he's got a nice ass car. For some reason, he got a fur coat, and he dresses extra nice. What did y'all think of Mr. Keith David in his role as Lester Wallace?
Motherfucking Keith motherfucking David. We gotta give this man the round of applause that he deserves. A long round of applause for this man's legacy. This boy, Keith David, dog. He sold being an asshole throughout this whole fucking movie. And even though he's so good.
That sign outside is always going to say barbershop.
Yeah, he did that. Exactly. He made it so smooth and sweet. I ain't gonna lie to you. I like 20 G's too.
Get some trim.
Yeah.
Like, it's the way Keith David moves. It's the way he moves when he speaks to.
He's such a good sleazeball. Oh my God.
He's so good.
He was a delightful heel, y'all.
Oh my God.
He was so great. And I really think that he brought like a type of greasiness to him, a griminess to him that was so classy and yet still so grimy at the same token. So I loved it. He played the dichotomy well. And if you're gonna do business with somebody greasy, you know, like Keith David is the charming type who lets you think that all this shit's going to be cool. So like he completely sold. Man, that shit was smoother than a condom, dog. Like he had all kinds of moves. Just going up in there, sliding through and getting his way, dog. So hats off to Keith David.
Unlike his bodyguard,
y'all. He's one of my favorites.
Unlike his bodyguard.
It is no wonder that this man was a good Disney villain years later. Like his role in this movie is damn near the same that it is in A Princess and a Frog. It's selling people on this idea.
Oh my gosh.
His bodyguard, that big ass motherfucker. That dude, like you said, JT, he was greasy, he was entertaining, he had a charm to him, but the danger was still there. Like that's what since we've been comparing it, that the Friday movies past part one were missing with their antagonists. Like, you didn't really feel danger with the Joker brothers. You didn't really feel danger with Crackhead Santa, or you kind of felt it with the Crips in that when they were chasing around. But Big Worm was funny, but also threat. And I think Keith David had that role in him. And as you were saying, history, go right ahead on his bodyguard.
And let's his bodyguard was irrelevant to the thing. I felt scared of Keith David himself and not the bodyguard. Because you think about it, like Calvin had walked right past the bodyguard. He outran the bodyguard. The bodyguard
should have got put on his butt one time. Be like, where you think you're going? You know, like, but nah. 2 steps. That's what we get.
2 steps.
2 steps.
Yeah. It really felt like I was only scared of what Keith David would do. That's the only thing that was like important.
Why are you scared of a dog if it got to be told to bite?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a dog trainer. I can tell you that too. It depends on. Yeah. If you got the good dog, that's good. Unless you mean it has to be. You mean to tell me that's a small alley? He done outran all this shit. You mean to tell me that this man could not find another way to get to the other side? How did he not find another way to get on the other side of that?
Where was his car?
Where was? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's my point about it. Didn't feel like we was in Chicago. If we're walking everywhere, then let's walk everywhere. If we're like traveling via vehicle, then let's travel via vehicle.
So what you're saying is that.
Oh wait, we lost him.
You lost me.
Wait. We lost you for a second, man. That went.
All right. So what you're saying is they should have took the ATM on the L train, and then it would have felt like a consummate Chicago movie.
Yeah, it would have felt like something.
Knowing them 2 idiots, they probably would have did that shit.
Well, they did do that. Think about it. We did get that at the towards the end where D-Ray Davis gave him a fucking ride on the plow and was driving this bitch on the front of it, right? So if we're gonna be ridiculous, we can be ridiculous as possible. You can make this movie feel as ridiculous and stupid as possible. Like seriously, like how many people are gonna walk and like how many people are gonna walk up the stairs and down at the stairs at the same time, just being an asshole and eating a fucking Whopper all at the same time? Like
it felt to me like there was something with that relationship that we didn't get to see.
Exactly.
Because that dude was being an asshole to them. But like if they would have talked more shit to him, it would have been like they brought it on themselves.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it was to the point where he could just be like, F y'all, I'm just gonna start walking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Him walking down the stairs and up the stairs at the same time as them, it felt like a vendetta. It didn't feel like, but we didn't get that vendetta. We didn't get the point of that.
And it should have been something like, you know, oh, man, I'm sorry about your sister or something like that, you know, like, and like they deserved it. You know, he ain't gonna help them with nothing. But he looked like a big dude. Like he could have just picked that ATM up with one arm and carried that mug up the stairs.
Exactly.
So when you see him, like, why would you not show respect? Because you stupid criminals.
He would have beat the shit out of Lamar Tate, honestly. He would have beat the shit out of Lamar Tate, honestly. Like he was being an asshole. Also, I kind of want a Whopper. Like that scene was just like, damn, he was crushing that Whopper. Like I ain't had one in a while. But anyway,
I would agree with you, but my local Burger King is crap.
Oh yeah, that's very true. Wait.
Whopper, chicken Whopper. That fucking song is like gets stuck in my. Anyway, moving forward.
Before you go on to that real fast, I gotta ask you a question real fast. Did Terry's boyfriend live in the same place as Anthony Anderson's JD and Billy?
No,
because they used the same building shot. No, it was. Remember they went up the stairs. Go ahead.
Nah, it looked like it was the same building. Maybe not. You know what?
A lot of them buildings look the same, dog. A lot of them buildings was built around the same time and with the same bricks. So, yeah, it's the same shade of red because you get a lot of that down there.
Okay, and I know I don't want you to feel like you skipped this over real fast because I feel like he's going to get skipped over. Troy Garrett, the white boy.
Dog, I was going to get to.
Go ahead, do your thing. Go ahead, do your thing.
No, I was going to get to the Jewish homie, Isaac. Now, again, having been in a lot of barbershops, especially out here on the West Coast, there is usually the white boy who's in there cutting hair. What did y'all think of not only him, but since we own the topic of him, what did y'all think of him and Jimmy and kind of their little back and forth going on there? JT, we're gonna start with you. You are our African. You are 50% of each of these people. So go
I'm
ahead.
right in the middle of that. Like I feel like the white boy who don't fit in sometimes, and I feel like the know-it-all black guy who don't always know it all. You know what I'm saying? So like I absolutely saw myself in these two dudes, and to see them go at it was just hilarious. It was so fun to watch because it really unfolded rather naturally. And so, like, when you think of a movie like Barbershop, I kind of say, well, you take the hood and you run the highlight reel of the hood. That's the movie. You know what I'm saying? So, like, when Ice Cube is opening the door and he having banter with the lady who owned the beauty shop, they probably don't always do that. But today they did. You know what I'm saying? It's the highlight reel of those interactions. So when you go inside the barbershop, man, these dudes, they must have been talking shit to each other the entire time they've been there. But how long do you think it would take before you'd be like, all right, look, let's see what you got? You know what I mean? And I think it was absolutely hilarious how he rolled up, to say, oh, making out with his girl and everything like that, off the Escalade and everything. Oh,
Black
up in the booty. Up in the booty, dog.
Oh,
And
that's
then,
usually how it goes.
And he really gave it to him. He was like, I bet you want my fly ass girl and my fly ass ride. And that was when the shit fell apart for me a little bit because he should have called her Coco or whatever. I mean, you would love to have Coco, but nah, she with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought that he should have dropped a name or something like that. And it just kind of felt like my girl because there's going to be another one later. You know what I'm saying? So it didn't. I really kind of wanted to see the white boy a little more grounded. You get what I'm saying?
JT, maybe he's a hoe and he has like a different girl every week.
Nah,
he's just
not
like
a hoe. He let his girl take his ride, dog. That is just you don't want to mix those types of relationships up. When your transportation is wrapped up with your woman, you better be faithful to her.
Some goofy white dudes aren't like that, or some goofy dudes aren't like that. They are reckless.
Like he said, I'm blacker than you. So,
Well, here's my thing.
And we all know reckless niggas. We all know reckless niggas who do dumb shit like.
But there
are dudes who cheat on their girl in their own house. Like, that's not outside the realm of possibility.
Can I also say this, man? It felt like when he said that I'm blacker than you, it definitely felt like Joe Biden was talking for a quick second. Joe Biden came out of here real quick. You just ain't black if you don't vote for me.
I too love collard greens.
Oh my God. It felt like he did. I was like, bro, I said that you had me on board until you said that I'm blacker than you. I was like, whoa. And if Calvin don't pass it out to his son, I'm gonna take over myself. I was like, boy, the caucasity is coming out of him.
He said buy it. He did say buy it though, so he was gonna reinvest.
I'm gonna take over it. I'm gonna take over for him if you don't give it to his son.
He specifically said buy it.
All right, go ahead.
But it really felt like he was just a down ass white boy.
Yeah.
And if you there's
we
got hood adjacent, we got hood adjacent, we got hood pass, and we got hood. Yeah. He was hood.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He felt like he was in that mug and soaked in it a little bit, and then other people wanted to challenge him, and he was used to it. And that really came across to me. But then you get to racism because don't nobody want to get no haircut from him. If he's cutting hair and he's not bad, he should be getting butts in the seats.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like, if for anybody to be like, go see him, I want to see him. They'd be raggedy. Nah, he can cut hair. Go sit down in that chair or shut up. Pick one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. He could have got a little
called him Seinfeld.
Bruh.
Said they called him Seinfeld.
Oh, foul for that.
Did it smooth too. What about Sean Patrick Thomas? As you were talking about history, I do like that they made the dark-skinned black dude kind of the asshole, and they made the super light-skinned boy the criminal. I thought that was a nice reversal of characters. Very Tyler Perry. What did y'all think of? What did y'all think it's Sean Patrick Thomas' Jimmy? History?
I thought that he was a wild ass person for going to fucking Starbucks and ordering that fucking ridiculous dog. I just knew that I thought that he was the villain of the whole fucking thing after that order.
After that order, I'd make it myself because y'all keep messing it up. Yeah, it's gonna come with some spit too today.
Yeah, I was expecting that to be the cousin of Anthony Anderson, and he was telling them to go pick up the car.
Right.
I was like, bro,
we've all been in line with one of those types who are just so like they like you hate them, like you hate them, and it's just like, oh, he's not as smart as like the shellfish thing. I do like that you pointed that out. It showed that hey, not as smart as he thinks that he is,
and the
not as smart as
Pakistani thing too. He was wrong about that.
He was so adamant about that. He was just like, he's not Eskimo. He's from Pakistan. And he was just like, nah, I'm from India. Like,
one job state.
Close to Pakistan.
Yeah, his
job state. Close to Pakistan. And it's just like, oh, so you just assume, you probably didn't ask this man where he's from. You just wanted to be, because you know everything, Jenny. And so I do find that he was an asshole. And I think we see later in Barbershop 2 and then 3, we do see growth of Jenny. Like he comes up. But this movie, it did a good job of humbling him, because we know, again, we all know people like that who think they too damn smart, who think they know every fucking thing. Gets on your nerves. So he needed that. Before we go on to some of the question rounds, one last thing. What do you think, JT? Funniest moment or funniest scene of the movie?
Probably Fat Boy going past him on the way up, where he went up, squoze Anthony Anderson's hand in there. That was absolutely hysterical. Burning the hotel, like everything in that hotel room, trying to get the ATM open, hysterical. And so really, I think Anthony Anderson and Lorenz Tate, but anyway, that those two were the comic relief, and they weren't really
basically Cheddar Bobs from 8 Mile. Like if Cheddar Bob had coming, they were black
3 hours away from each other.
Well, 6
hours. I'm sorry. Yeah. 3 hours, 6 hours away from each other. They're not that far from each other. Oh God, that fucking place, man.
JT, not JT. History. What about you? What's your funniest scene of the movie? Not picking what JT just touched on.
I think that I knew that this question was gonna come up, bro. My man Eddie, dog. I knew this question was gonna come up, but dog, Eddie. This
I know where you're going.
Eddie said, roots. he walked up to your boy and said, roots. No, the idea.
He snapped to his roots.
Roots. I thought that shit was hilarious, bro, because they've been doing the African shit. And I want to say that scene came after your boy, Terry's boyfriend came in there. You don't speak English? But like that. So I thought that with Eddie going roots, I was like, oh my God.
No, it was before. Dog. Like he called him roots before the boyfriend came in and got the safari.
I thought that shit was hilarious, dog.
I forgot. He owes me $5.
That shit was funny.
It's the principle.
Oh my God.
That nigga was willing to go to jail for $5.
Yes, that is the funniest bit of the movie right there.
There's so much that I want to point out, but I'm gonna give 2 quick things. One, the scene where obviously where Terry catches her boyfriend. That is the most dumb. The girl coming out. And then her trying to leave, and Terry just like, where you going? And then snatching her back. That's one. Number 2, it is, and probably just one of my favorites, it's the rant that Eddie goes on that ends with fuck Jesse Jackson. Just goddamn. Just all the
wait,
Jesse Jackson.
I ever realized that his rants were like he did this whole thing about history.
OJ did it.
When he did that, when he was shaving your boy, and he was like, y'all don't have such a history and culture. Y'all want to give respect, but y'all don't want to give respect. Y'all don't want to do nothing. He said, and then he's like, man, look at that. You get him all smooth. He said, he's smooth like Garrett Colbert. I'm like, dog, where the fuck did this come from?
They all bust. I think that was a moment where they all broke. Like that was one of them. Like they just broke. Like, like
Garrett Colbert. I was like, dog.
He was laughing. It was fun. It was hilarious. And then the scene where old girl busts the man's car and it's the wrong car. Like that is just it is a comedy of errors. She is fucking this car up. This is Malcolm Brown's car. this ain't no Malcolm Brown car. This is my car. You sure this ain't Malcolm? And then he starts checking. That is a hilarious scene because it's just like I've seen some shit. That's probably happened. So, and it reminds me of a couple years ago during the pandemic when that girl tried to set that car on fire and it went up in her face. It reminds me of that. It's just like, you were stupid enough to get caught. But there's a lot. This is a funny movie.
Before we close out, Jamel, I want to ask you a real quick
question. All right.
I wanted to ask you this, man. Do you think that this movie would be
we $5?
That's true. Do you think that this movie would be canceled? Because they did start off with the actual Michael Ealy conversation about like a woman with a big ass and shit like that. And then they focused on the mom coming in and everything like that. There was a lot of times like that, right? Do you think that movie would have had like a lot of controversy to this day? Because I feel like some points in the movie didn't age well.
Maybe they could probably adjust it though. Like honestly, I've seen shows on TV where they talk about women asses. I like it could still be made. Maybe they don't do the big ass woman with a big ass bit. Maybe they don't do that. Like in the context of the movie, it's not needed, but it isn't authentic. It would be inauthentic because conversations like that happen in barbershops all the time.
Fair.
Ass conversations happen. It's ass conversations. Who better, Michael Jordan or LeBron, which switched from Michael Jordan to Kobe. That's changed. And Biggie and Tupac, weird ass conspiracy theories, and talking shit about white people. That black barbershops, those are some of the 5 key conversations. So yeah, it can still be made. I think it's still be able to be made. One last question for both of you guys. So recast. I think we can agree, like as much as we think she's fine, do y'all think if we recasted Eve, that would maybe improve the quality of not just the performance, but maybe add a little bit more to the movie? And who would you cast in that role?
Eve was fine. She was a placeholder. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, she's not the best actress. So if you want a good actress, you can get Taraji up in there or something. You know,
that's where I was leaning. That's where I was.
You already know. You already know because she come down with some cookie type stuff. Yeah,
I can hear her yelling, "Who drank my apple?" Like who drank my apple juice with a little bit more passion. But yeah, Eve was serviceable. As far as the villain, Keith David.
Apple juice, Jody. I told you not to drink my apple juice, Jody.
Jody. Got Keith David. I love him as the villain. What if we switched Keith David to a different good black actor? What if we switched Keith David? Role? That could work. I was thinking, what if we swapped him with Clifton Powell? And we don't do any of the pinky shit, but it's Clifton Powell kind of diving into his bag from dead presidents as Lester Wallace. Y'all think that'll work?
He definitely would have been more gangster than Keith David was. Keith David didn't feel gangster. Keith David felt, he felt
sleazy.
Yeah, like he was his own entity in the Chicago streets. And I think he did a good job of that. But like if it was the local gang leader, you know what I'm saying? Then I think you could put Clifton in that role or something like that. You know what I mean? But for the dynamics, how we had it, I'm perfectly satisfied with Keith David.
Say it again.
Yeah, I feel like if we would have switched him with Clifton Powell, it would have took away the fun of it. The fun of it is like this movie doesn't. You don't take this movie seriously, right? For the most part. So I think that's where this movie did good and felt like Chicago, I guess, or kind of like the Detroiters aspect of it too. That is Southside did a good job at this. Is the fact of like, yeah, this shit happens, but we kind of have to laugh at some of the stuff, right? And that's where they try to fill in on this one. Is the fact that they try to make situations that was considered serious to us feel like a comedy. And I feel like Keith David did a good job by making this a better whiskey to drink than burning the fuck out of our chest. Like we know that he's about to sell his bitch for $20,000. in our heads, in our minds, we're like $20,000. That's not a fucking enough. That's not realistic. So it was easier to swallow because of the fact that then he said that we're gonna come in and get a trim, and then you can maybe get a trim. Like that felt smoother. Whereas Clifton would have felt too harsh, even as Pinky. It just would have felt too outlandish.
Say it again. All right, so we are now about to wrap. Just a few more facts about Lord Barbershop. Barbershop
Friday,
was
part
made
four.
on-
The Barbershop.
Accept that this is nigga. You gotta accept that these Ice Cube movies are fucking Friday. They just taking place in different coasts at this point in time.
history.
Boys in the Hood, Friday.
This is
Anyway.
Friday. This is Friday,
Anyway,
dog. Taking place
as
in
I was
Chicago this
stating,
time.
Barbershop was made on a budget of 12 million, made 77 million,
Yes.
received pretty good reviews, and spawned off not just 2 additional sequel films, but also spawned off a TV series and a separate movie, Beauty Shop, starring Queen Latifah. I think this will probably be an unpopular opinion, but the Barbershop trilogy, I think, is a lot stronger than the Friday trilogy as far as a movie. And Friday at the Next brings the quality down a lot. And the third Barbershop movie is actually really good. Anyway, so we have now come to the portion of the show where we give our ratings for the movie. Of course, we got that 5-tier system. 5 out of 5, that is considered a winner. 4 out of 5, that is considered an edger. 3 out of 5, that is a slumper. 2 out of 5, sleeper. 1 out of 5 is a dumpster. So,
I see
Dumpster
that.
juice.
JT,
The middle
JT.
finger down? Yeah, that's my thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
I felt like
it's in the dumpster.
If it's dumpster juice, then fuck that movie.
It's in the dumpster.
It's
Why
frozen.
would I
It's frozen
not
out.
flip it off? Why would we not? It's in the dumpster. But anyway,
It's garbage.
JT, what say you about the 2002 comedy drama Barbershop?
It depends on how nostalgic you want to be. This movie cycles between being a winner and being an edger in my book because it is so classic. And even going back to it, the movie doesn't feel too dated. It still feels like something that you could see. You know, obviously ain't nobody selling no more minutes on the phone, but if you swap that out with, hey, I got them SIM cards, you need to call international, I got them SIM cards, just pop it in, you're good to go. That is completely feasible. You know what I mean? So like it depends. If you're looking at it with rose tinted glasses, it's a high edger for me. I'm gonna stick with a high edger, okay?
Yeah. History, what say you? What is your movie rating for Barbershop?
There was some slumper movies, and then there was some edger moments. But I'm gonna slide with JT on this one. But I'm gonna use one of the things that we said about like Sinbad in First Kid. If it wasn't for Eddie being in this, Cedric the Entertainer being in this movie, and I will also argue D. Ray Davis and Deion Cole being in this movie, it would have never felt so good. It would never been as hilarious. Even with the work that like Anthony Anderson tried to do as a stooge, as well as also Lamar Tate, that would have felt weighed down. I think that you needed Cedric the Entertainer to kind of carry some of that weight on it. I actively would have loved to see why Eddie doesn't like Lester in a prequel movie. I would have loved to see a prequel movie for fucking
you know what?
Eddie as much as possible.
I think that was kind of a missed opportunity. They could have did that in Barbershop too, since we were diving into Eddie's past. But for me, I definitely think this movie is firmly in the edger territory. I think the movie, yeah, it has some flaws in it, but I think overall the acting quality, specifically the performances of Cedric, of Anthony Anderson, Keith David, like honestly, Michael Ealy did his thing. There were a lot of good performances in this one. The community aspects that we talked about, I really enjoyed this movie. It's one that I love going back to anytime. So yeah, I think it has earned its spot as an edger, in my opinion.
Whew.
That's going to do it for the movie review portion of the show.
That hit heavy.
History. Go ahead and start taking us home.
That was heavy. JT, I'm not taking away from your actual voice of reason, man, but I'm actually going to quote something from this movie.
Do your thing, bro.
Ice Cube was sarcastic at the very beginning of the movie, and he was talking to the actual store owner. He was the store owner was freaking out and actually like throwing stuff around and banging everywhere and stuff like that. And Ice Cube, I felt like he sarcastically told this guy, "Stay strong, bro." He did it just like that, right? And I can only hate Ice Cube's character from the first like five minutes of this movie, right? But I felt like it was a growth moment when Ice Cube goes to the actual store and gets a Twister bottle, and you had this little shop man. He says that the little things for us is huge for others. I felt like that was the smoothest line in this whole thing and a good fucking learning part inside of it. Outside of obviously Eddie saying that this is a black man's country club, right? I felt like that is something that was we could take morally, no matter what color you are. Is the fact that it may be something little to you, but it can be something huge for others. So I want that to be actually a way that we can kind of start off. But JT, we usually always end this week with these shows. We start off chaotic. We've been kind of like smooth and we kind of just doing the best we can to talk about how these movies are and how they relate to our like our pop culture itself. So with that, we still have to kind of get grounded. We have to be able to actually move on in a peaceful way and actually have something be able to end our week. So with that, we go to and we turn to our voice of reason of this week. JT, what's our voice of reason this week, man?
Well, I'm going to keep the theme of community. The barbershop absolutely highlights community. It's like a town square for black folks. Have you ever gone to a barbershop and just hung out there all afternoon? That's what people do. You see in Coming to America, that the one of the most memorable scenes was in the barbershop because that's where people come and they get together and they yap it up. And one of the most important things about your community is finding the people who are there for you. And the best way you can do that is go talk to a whole bunch of folks. It's very important that you find your community. In now more than ever, it is extremely important because people are getting more isolated. People are having problems with family members. People are cutting folks off because they're realizing that they're actually toxic and they refuse to change their ways. So it's very important for you, my dear listeners, to go out there and find your own community. We thank you for making us a part of your community. We thank you for listening to the historical voices from the East Side because we are trying to build a community here, a digital one. And we thank you for being a part of that. But when it comes to time for you to wake up tomorrow, you got to think about who else is going to be part of your community. And it's okay that some people don't fit in your community. You got to go find the ones that do and hold on to them tightly because like a barbershop, you can make something very great happen.